What are your pronouns, if I may ask?
She, her.
And what does she, her mean for our audience?
For me, that means I present as female and feminine, although I can also feel masculine but be secure in my feminine too.
So, with regards to transitioning, should there be an age cap on this? Should the government get involved with regards to transitioning?
I think as a cis person, that my opinion does not hold the same amount of value as someone who would experience the trans issues and gender dysphoria. However, I believe that there shouldn't be a particular a particular restriction in terms of age unless it comes to quite important surgeries. For example, your body may not be fully developed yet and it's not ready for surgery, or your body is still in the process of having testosterone, so therefore you may not be ready to start your estrogen without the blockers.
What age should puberty blockers be allowed? Or legal?
I think that would be up to the parent and child, and I believe that as a 20-something-year-old person, that my opinion is not as important as someone who may have experienced this issue.
And what about surgery? Should there be an age limit there?
I think when it comes to when your body is fully developed, because there may be complications due to maybe your breasts haven't grown in all the way and then you have a removal. However, your body may still be developing breast tissue. So those are things to consider, but I wouldn't know the exact age someone would cap it on. I would say it's based on body development.
So lastly then, okay, can children consent to all this? Whether you talk about pronouns, blockers, transitioning or surgery, can children consent to that?
I think that in terms of gender, all children should be taught about how fluid gender can be, regardless if you're going to be trans or not, because that's something that isn't decided, it's something that happens to someone. And I believe that by having these issues talked about earlier on, it actually could prevent people from transitioning when they're not aware that they maybe don't want to. Because if they're taught from quite a young age, they're aware of the options and availability that is there for them. But I believe that children should be aware of all of these things, and although we shouldn't be encouraging maybe like 13, 14-year-olds to have quite major surgery, again, due to body development, I think that, yes, we should support trans children.
What age should somebody be able to transition?
I suppose whatever age is right for them. I don't know. I'm not that knowledgeable on the subject myself.
Just your opinion.
Yeah, whenever they're comfortable doing it, I think whenever's good for them and whatever's going to make them the happiest.
So could be 12 years old?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah. And what about things like starting puberty blockers? Is there an age limit on that for you, or could it be any age?
I mean, I haven't thought too deeply about the matter myself, but I don't see why there should be an age limit. I think you know in your mind what's best for you, and you should be able to decide that at whatever age you are.
But is the general consensus amongst your age group that people use pronouns?
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of it?
Yeah, I feel like in everyone's Instagram bios and stuff. People
And letterheads as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sign-offs. Okay.
Yeah, I suppose it's just good to know, you don't want to accidentally misgender someone, because obviously that could leave them feeling hurt and upset and whatnot, and you don't want to leave someone feeling that way. You want everyone to feel accepted as they are and recognised as they want to be recognised.
So I think very important to that is that not everyone is trans, not everyone is someone who's transitioned, but a lot of people identify as non-binary. Is that correct? Is that the logic here?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, fine. So that would then implicate the use of pronouns, right? So you said she, her. So it's not necessarily about trans. It's about the non-binary piece. If someone you mentioned about feelings,
everybody, regardless of whether you're cis, you're trans, you're non-binary, whatever you want to identify as, I think you should be comfortable identifying that, and I think people should refer to you as you want to be referred. Surely.
No different from any other pronoun, right?
Yeah.
Like Mr. or.
Yeah. Just I think if you tell someone once, they should honour that, and yeah.
So if I clearly look like a male, which hopefully I do, if we were talking and I said actually my name's Sally, the theory is that you should just accept that, and it's actually, or Anne for example, it should just be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just honour people and talk to them how they have requested you talk to them.
What are your pronouns?
He, him.
She, her.
What does he, him mean for our audience?
Means that I use masculine he/him pronouns.
So you're a man?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Biologically?
Yeah, biologically, yeah.
And she, her?
Yeah, that's just my gender, yeah.
Yeah, okay. If you would decide to wake up tomorrow morning and you go from he, him, whatever, to her, that's something that can happen in the world, in the use of the word
Yeah, it doesn't mean
pronouns.
that I change physically. It's more of like, identity.
An identity.
So everyone's got a different identity. It's just who you are, really.
Yeah, that's
What he said. Okay, so the use of pronouns exists, and it's all to do with gender, and it's all to do with feelings. So at what age should someone be allowed puberty blockers to begin this process?
I don't know what. Well,
Age of consent is 16, 18 is an adult, you can vote.
but then at 18, wouldn't they have less of an effect? But then, if you're not allowed to vote until 18, you shouldn't be able to make drastic changes. Because when you're young, like you can't get a tattoo until you're 18.
or drink, or smoke.
Yeah, exactly. So, taking these hormones would have completely different effects.
And like you said, later on in life, it's not as useful, it's not
Yeah.
as effective. So the
So-
recruitment ground tends to be minors, right?
Kind of.
Well, I think you're gonna but before puberty, you're gonna want so it's like I don't know, like 14. I think it should be before, whenever you feel like you need it.
As a parent raises its child, children are the most malleable. They're the most. They're like sponges. They pick up on things. They learn, whether it's math, science, or transgenderism, for example.
Yeah, you just got to teach everyone to be accepting of everyone else, no matter who they are, no matter what you think. Everyone's different, and sometimes you just got to put up with that.
Do we draw the line anywhere with that argument? Do we draw the line anywhere with that, or does anything go?
I think anything. Well, I think every kid should learn about it in school, because it's just like being aware of this stuff that's going around in the world. Everyone should have a chance to like know about it and learn about
Last thoughts on that? Do we draw the line anywhere with anything?
Well, hate speech, obviously, we draw the line at.
So we're finding out about the use of pronouns today. It's in with our kids in schools, in corporate, on letterheads, emails, etc. So we want to know more about it. What are your pronouns?
She, her.
She, her.
She, her.
So what does that mean then?
I think it's quite simple, but that might be controversial to say, I reckon.
That's right. For our audience though,
Yeah.
what does she, her mean?
A woman. A woman.
A woman, a girl.
Identify as a woman. And
So what's the alternative then? So what other? So for example, 30 years ago, someone would, to that question would say, "Well, I'm a female or I'm a male." So what does that mean then? If is it he, him for male,
Yeah.
and she, her for female? We've
that's
heard
what people would assume, yeah.
we've heard the word cis today as well. Does that all link up with that language?
I don't like the word cis.
I don't like the word cis.
No?
I've never gone to use it.
You're born as a woman, but like, I am a woman. Don't call me cis woman.
So the idea is that you can change your gender but not your sex behind the use of pronouns. That's what we've discovered. So what age should children be allowed to start transitioning?
18?
I'd say like 13 because that's when you.
Really?
Yeah, because that's when you actually like start going through puberty.
I would say 18 as well, yeah.
And what about the use of puberty blockers?
I don't know what that is. What is
You
that?
stop, but basically you stop the hormonal development of the individual in its tracks whilst they get time to think about whether they want to be a boy or a girl.
I just think it's risky.
Yeah,
you shouldn't
know.
mess
You
about
don't
with
know
that
the
stuff.
impacts of it either.
No,
sometimes.
yeah, you don't know what it's going to
Yeah.
do. Like, you don't know how long it will take someone to develop before it affects them. Like,
And what about full-on surgery? Last question.
Do we want? I think I'm not gonna, judge.
Under 18?
Oh
No,
no, absolutely
no.
no.
No, because I've known a lot of people as well that have changed their genders and gone back to the gender they were born with, and they realise that it's not that they are the gender they were born
Yeah.
Is that because you can't change your gender?
with. Not really, no. Or a bit
it's
controversial.
hard because
It shouldn't
You
be
can-
controversial, should it?
no, you can change it, but then also, I think the whole pronoun things is all a bit hoo-ha because you're either born a female or you're born a male, and that's what you are. There's no in between. I personally don't think.
The implication being that biological sex and gender are the same thing, not different things.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with say like transgender people. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I am a trans woman, and instead of saying, oh yeah, you're a cis woman, let's chill out a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Go back to common sense stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to do it and you're over 18, crack on.
Yeah.
Let's just be like calm about it and talk instead of being like, ooh.
I think so
You know?
much happens when you're younger as well, and I don't think anyone's in the right mindset to.
Because you're a
make-
child.
Yeah, to make that whilst you're young. Like, I think it's ridiculous that like when a child is like 6 and they're like, oh no, but my child is now a female instead of a male because
they want it to be. It's a bloody 6-year-old. Like, they're not going to know.
I was a tomboy when I was younger, like a proper tomboy. And if I was that child now, people would be questioning if I was transgender. And then that could have ruined my life.
Do you think there's a demographic? They could be autistic, they could be a tomboy, they could have learning disabilities. Do you think that demographic's being targeted potentially to buy in to this sort of stuff? Is that possible? I'm not saying is that happening. I'm saying is it possible there's a demographic that is susceptible to this idea?
I think it's obviously everyone is influenced by it, but I feel like people that are more vulnerable are probably influenced by it the most.
Potentially they are more influenced. They're more influenced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people pretend to be really inclusive just in fear that they'll get called out on being, you know, transphobic, homophobic, all that stuff.
You forgot bigot and racist as well.
All of that. Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Use of pronouns. What are your pronouns?
He, him.
He, him.
And what does that mean for our audience? What does he, him mean?
I guess male.
Male, I guess.
So, presuming you guys are 20 odd, right, ish, 30 years ago, would we have used pronouns?
I don't think it was like socially like known, but now it is. So
Sure, it's been discovered.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we would have used pronouns just in language, but I guess in a different.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no, in language, but in this
Yeah.
context.
In a different way to this context, I guess.
Yeah.
So we spoke to someone earlier, said she, her. I said, what's that? She said, female.
Yep.
You've said he, him, male. So this is something that's you're seeing around university. This is something that you're taught. How did it come about? The use of pronouns, I mean.
Oh, what, me knowing about it?
Yeah.
I kind of just found out from just school and being around students, and that almost like educated me about everyone else's.
Just talking about it.
Yeah.
And what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of grew up with it. I have friends that use differing like pronouns. You know, it's just kind of a fact of life.
So at this end of it, it sounds to me like it's a bit zany to me personally, but okay, fine. What about puberty blockers? At what age should that be introduced? Because you can't argue that this pronoun dialogue and choosing your gender, that's not revolutionary. So that leads to puberty blockers, chest binders, and transitioning. So at what age should someone be allowed access to puberty blockers, for example?
I can't really say. It's a very controversial topic.
It's different, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
new. So what age? Because if we're using pronouns, we know that it's less than 1%. We know people do try and transition. Even though you can't change your biological sex, they do try and transition. So at what age should puberty blockers be?
I'm a bit grey on the subject, but I would say like almost like the age of consent. You then can choose what you want.
So 16?
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to opt out at this point because I don't really know much about this subject.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. And what about transitioning itself? If someone wanted to transition, at what age should that be legal?
I don't think I can say, to be honest.
16, consent, 18, age of an adult, 13, still a minor, what age?
I'm not really too sure. I'm not really educated in this like topic either, so
Yeah,
I
sure.
might do the same.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks
But,
for your
yeah,
time.
Thank you.
We've been at Portsmouth today, and small update, the trend could be showing signs of dying down potentially. We all know that it's social contagion when it comes to gender theory. It's complete nonsense. We've seen a bit of common sense, but we always see that, generally speaking, there's a lot less blue-haired weirdos on campus because the trend might be dying down. And the other thing that's important is that when we ask the question about how old should a kid be when they transition, have surgery, take puberty blockers, which is how it breaks down, the answers are don't know, don't want to say, not sure. These are 18-year-olds at university, and there's a common resounding, I'm not going to answer that question, or I don't know. That's extremely worrying. So there's more work to do. Right, great. Do we have your consent to the interview?
Yes.
Do I have your consent to the interview?
Yeah.
Do you consent to the interview?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
Do I have your consent for the interview?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Do I have your consent for the interview?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic.